baby, and we are back, everybody. Welcome back to Words with Wayman. I am your host, Matt Wayman. Thank you all for joining us again, everybody. We got a hot, spicy part 2. Join us online, as always, on Twitter at Words with Wayman, on Facebook, Words with Wayman. I'm just going to hop right into it, guys. We're getting right into it. I know you guys want to hear the stuff. We're coming back. Part 2, local, Denver, artist, dad, comedy supporter, my friend, Jeff Simpson.
Hello again.
Thank you for coming back. I think in part 1 we were just ending up basically, you moving to Denver after Chicago and just kind of was that at your time? Did you guys get married in Chicago and then move out here, or were you guys married, you and your lady at the time?
We got married in Chicago.
Okay.
And then spent essentially the next 4 years there. She finished her residency, and then we moved to Denver after that.
Nice. Did she get a job offer here, or you guys just wanted to keep moving? Or?
Yeah, she got a job offer here, and
nice.
also she's from here. So
nice. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's kind of, for her, worked out pretty sweet.
Well,
to move home.
I guess so.
Yeah.
She likes it here.
Nice.
I like it here now.
Mm-hmm. Did you like it at first?
It took an adjustment for me.
It's different.
Yeah.
Than Chicago a lot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you more of a big city type? You like?
I wasn't, because I was living in Omaha before,
yeah.
But I wanted to be once I was there. I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be more of a frustrated driver.
Yeah.
And so therefore, pretty much my life was set up in a way in Chicago that I could take the train anywhere I wanted to go.
Definitely.
So.
And then, I always like that because you can think a little bit more and not have to drive. I'm sure driving in Chicago is tough.
Right. I mean, especially when I was in my master's, sometimes I read on the train, of course. So.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of those things where, I can't wait for self-driving cars to come out so I can just hang out all the time and not actually have to drive.
Right.
You have so much more time. No, it definitely is a switch from Chicago. And then, so what did you do initially for work when you got up here?
Well, the whole time while I was getting my, master's done, I was working at Starbucks.
Okay.
So I just transferred that out here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I was working at the university and essentially I-25 one, right there.
Yeah.
Right before you get to I-25.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was all right. And I was trying to do the gallery stuff at the same time. Again, some of that was time management stuff going on. And
oh, yeah. And I'm sure, too, I mean, it's just you. I mean, you have to cultivate these relationships, I feel like, with galleries and stuff for years before you get in, and now you just have to restart in a brand new city.
Right. And I got into kind of more of a co-op where you're kind of helping pay the rent of the space.
Yeah.
And then you get a wall, and a decent-sized wall, to display your stuff on.
Nice. How'd that work out?
I sold a couple pieces there, so it was all right. But again, I was expecting something different, I think, going into it.
More?
Yeah, more, and also I think had higher expectations coming from Chicago.
Yeah.
That, also the financial aspect was going to be more, which here the price point's lower.
From Chicago to here?
Maybe not half, but maybe take a third off in a lot of cases at least. Maybe half in some cases, depending on the price.
Yeah, when you were doing painting at the time, right? Which is, super, hourly intensive.
Well, I was actually doing drawing when I moved here. Nice. But I was doing very creative, ultra detailed type stuff and trying to really pursue that kind of really fine art, surreal way of working, but at the same time using a lot of photo references that I was actually getting friends together, having them dress a certain way, and use props and stuff like that. And a lot of times the props would assist me with because if it just did a painting of the person holding the prop, it wouldn't. But it would be like, okay, that space is being occupied by something that I want to put there. That I'm getting from another photo reference that I'm combining with my artistic talent.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool.
So that was the type of stuff I was doing.
How do you find that you generally work? Is it more like, are you like a morning guy? Do you have a certain time that you work?
I guess these days it has to be morning because my son's in preschool. So, but again, I'm trying to get better, but time management sometimes has gotten in the way. So.
Yeah, of waking up late or that stuff.
Well, just, having kind of a to-do list for the day and feeling like, okay, this would be easier since my son's at school. I could do this while he's home, but it would be easier to do it now because I get it done quicker, type of thing. And then it's easier to procrastinate.
I do that all the time,
creative, pursuits sometimes.
Oh, of course.
Especially when I don't necessarily have a commission on the table.
Yep.
Just doing something for the sake of doing it. It's harder to bring myself to that table sometimes.
Oh, I think
especially
absolutely.
When you're like, oh, I could get all these things done, or...
Well, I'm sure, just with the responsibility of having a kid, there's just so much more on the table at that point, too.
Right.
As opposed to, you just, knock all the errands out, and then you're like, okay, well, now. You actually have, errands and stuff to run, as opposed to,
But, I've kind of learned, though, that I need to just carve out a time, while he's at preschool to sit down for at least, a time period of some kind,
Yeah. I definitely find that helps, when I do set a time for myself. I know that I write decently in the morning, so I usually get up and just get it done with immediately, because I like just to have it over with.
Yeah.
Then I feel like I can breathe for the rest of the day. It doesn't loom over me as much.
Yeah, that you're like, okay, I could have done that.
Then I'm just, thinking all day about, how I should have written earlier, and then, by the end of the day, it's like, oh, great, well... That's that. But I think definitely different people work at different times.
But if I have a commission, then I have something to drive me. So people don't worry that I'm gonna not waste time and not get your portrait done. If you would like one. When I have a commission, it's
getting done.
It's getting done. I'm working.
How fast do you normally? Because you do. Drawing for a lot of your portrait commissions, correct?
That's correct. I'd say a week and a half. If it's just a straight up, you send me, a snapshot, and I turn it into a fine art drawing.
Nice.
I've
seen a bunch of your work. Definitely, I've looked at your Facebook stuff, and it's so fun and really nice.
Thank you.
Super good.
Thanks.
And it's crazy because I dabble in drawing just a little bit, but it's cool to see. It's just man, that is just some awesome skills.
Thanks.
And time, because I know that drawing is one of those things that definitely takes a lot of time to do.
Speaking of which, that reminds me, I gotta get an eye appointment again because the glasses, since I'm not seeing those little fine details as much as I used to. I noticed the last time I was
prescriptions going up but just a touch.
Right.
Well, I'm sure that's when you're focusing a lot on little small details and stuff like that.
It probably wears on your eyes.
Yeah, just a little bit. When you definitely are holding that focus. Get some new glasses. Get that new prescription going. So
so I can get that fine touch back.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, because that is, you don't even think about that, but that's just a tool of yours, are the eyes.
Right, totally. Because, I was noticing, even teaching-wise, that sometimes I'm, missing little things.
Yeah, so you're doing that now. You're teaching over, where are you teaching at?
Inglewood Rec Center.
Which is really cool. And you're just teaching drawing to who mainly?
It's retirees for the most part because of my time schedule. I get to work while my son's in preschool.
Yeah.
So therefore it's mornings. Yeah. And the only people who are generally available in the mornings, during a work week are
retirees.
Yeah.
Are they fun? Are they a fun to
most of them are fun. Every once in a while you get a grumpy one, or you get one that just can't hear you, and they're just saying what, and and you're having to get down and almost say it in their ear, and
I'm sure they just want to learn.
It's cute on some level.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a fun group. They did it. They worked enough that they get to retire. And just get to have a good time.
Yeah, some of them really get into it, and I really. The part that really makes me like to do it is see people improve. Yeah,
I'm sure you can see that. I'm sure some of them get pretty darn good.
Yeah, I've seen some people leave with boy, the way you came in versus now. I don't necessarily say that because I don't want them to feel like, well, you didn't do. You weren't that good when you first got here.
You were terrible. God, you should have seen yourself.
Yeah, I don't want to present that.
But that's cool because it definitely is. It's a creative outlet, but it is also something that absolutely can be taught.
Yeah, and also I feel like it kind of keeps me on my toes as far as knowing how to do this stuff.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because it's one thing to know how to do something, I feel like, but to be able to explain it in a way that somebody else gets it, I think that you've kind of wrapped your head around it more so, for that reason.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely a thing too, where it's it's fulfilling as well as it is just you're you're giving people something that can definitely change their lives.
Yeah. I mean, because I think a lot of people leave there with something that they, really like. And a lot of people are like, it was kind of funny. I was offering a human portrait drawing class, and then subsequently after, the 6 weeks that were over, then I said, just for variety's sake, let's have a kind of animal pet drawing class.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of people from the portrait drawing class signing up for the pet drawing class who were like, okay, they were polite enough to watch me do my demonstration of how to draw various animals and kind of the basic setups to get to a more detailed state. But then they would be like, okay, can we work on the portrait that I was working on from the previous class? And it was kind of funny.
That is funny. I mean, I'm sure the people that just wanted to put more time into it and didn't feel like they had enough time in the first place. I always knew, like, with that, especially when I started doing a little bit of art, like, the first thing that you make and, like, begin to make is, like, so special and dear any way that you'd probably do, like, put a bunch more time into it.
Right. And I think the problem with a lot of, like, the learning curve of, like, creative things sometimes is, like, people get attached to their first, idea way too much. And I think I was even guilty of that, of course, at various points in my creative process. But
just overworking something a little bit? Yeah,
or not realizing that something, can change in an early stage in the process, because essentially, when you're trying to draw a human head for kind of spatial mass, and so forth, you kind of set up an upside down oval kind of, egg shape, and they get stuck to that kind of, line curve, sometimes, and you still end up with this oddly rounded head as opposed to more angular skull, benchmarks along the way.
Yeah.
Because they get stuck with what they started out with, and they just want to just add on to that, as opposed to, like, this was just to help me get the thing set up in the first place.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I've noticed that a lot, at least.
I think I would be the exact same way. I think I would be exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, because it's already, I mean, I was never good at drawing as much, but I remember, like, there was a couple things. I took an art class or two in high school, and I was like, oh, God, like, this is great, too. It felt really good, but yeah, I felt I didn't change anything from the first place. I couldn't draw heads or anything, and they looked super oval and not proportionate. But you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just like you just got to not get too attached to. You got to let it evolve, I guess.
Let it grow a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's easy with drawing because. If you have like a kneaded eraser, one of those squishy, ones, I feel like that can just pick up most of the graphite, and for the most part, I think when you're starting things out, you want to just kind of light sketchy anyway, because that's the other thing. People want to get to the detail. Everybody wants to get to the pretty,
Yeah,
and why not? It's our natural, I want to get, have it look grand, start looking grand from the get-go and seeing it grow. And so, like, a lot of people start drawing an eye and try to work out from there,
Yeah. It's like, this isn't how it's a process. It's still a process. It's not.
Right, yeah. Yep. Yeah, and it took me time to realize that,
I'm
too.
Sure. But it seems like, you have a really supportive wife that, like, lets you do what you want to do in a lot of senses.
Yes, very supportive through my master's program, through, trying to build experience, teaching now at just the rec centers part-time, because hopefully I could, go on to teach at the college level.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Having the MFA, so.
Yeah, so that's the goal that you think these days, trying to teach at a college?
Yeah. I think that's really what I'd like to do as far as, like, more my full-time and having, producing art more as the, supplementary type job.
Okay, yeah. Well, that seems like definitely the progression of where it's gone. If you enjoy teaching, like, I've had some teachers that have helped me so much and be able to just, like, give back to kids, especially at that age. I feel like it's really awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like as a teacher, you got to, get something out of it too. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to be invested. And I feel like that I do get something out of it. So, really, I really feel up after class that people, seem to have gotten, some aspect of what I was trying to get across.
Yeah, that's cool. And I mean, that's the reason you have to be there, because if it wasn't for that, yeah, you're completely right. It would be, probably wouldn't be that much fun. You gotta have fun when you're doing it.
Yeah, they do have those open sessions, for for this rec center where it's kind of drop in with no teacher.
Nice.
And it's like, okay, the more experienced students who have been doing this forever can come over and help you if you ask them.
Nice.
But it's like, I've kind of heard from some of the students though that it becomes more like kind of like high school, where it's like people are trying to compete to see who's actually has the better opinion. It's kind of funny when you think about it.
Yeah, when you remove a teacher from a situation like that, that is the one authority figure.
Yeah.
How quickly things devolve.
Yeah, one of my students, he was in a wood carving class like that, but it wasn't a drop-in one. It actually had a teacher, and the teacher became ill and couldn't teach the class anymore. And he was the most experienced student, so they asked him to teach the class, and he was like, "Okay, sure."
Mm-hmm.
But because he had been a student before, they didn't look at him as an authority figure, and it became more like a drop-in type class. And he tried to teach them things, and he started calling it. Well, it's the Malley Rec Center. It's for the seniors, that rec center specifically, and he started calling it Malley Daycare.
That sounds terrifying, to be hoisted into that role and then have nobody respect you.
Right.
That sounds like the worst.
Yeah, he did it for a while, and then he quit.
I would be done immediately. I'd be like, this is no fun at all. This is the worst.
Right. I think it was the problem though is that he had been a student before, and some of the people who had taken the class,
oh yeah, I've had that thing go on in improv, where an improv player has become the coach, and it doesn't work.
Oh, because they're like, I see you more as my equal.
Yeah.
You're not. Why were you kind of like risen?
Yeah,
100%
that. That's fun. Cool. We're getting down to the wire. These things go quick. They're just 15-minuters. They fly right by.
Yeah.
You want to give everybody out there your web stuff, where everybody can find you at again?
Okay, it's Portraits by Jeff Simpson. You can find it at jeffsimpsonportraits.com. You can also find that on Facebook, and if you need to contact me, you can contact me on the page, but also at jfsimpy@hotmail.com too.
Heck yeah, everybody, check them out. I want to thank you so much for coming out and doing this.
Oh, thank you.
Support us on the web, guys. Twitter at Words with Wayman, Facebook Words with Wayman. Thank you all so much for listening, guys, and we will see you soon.